Welcome to From Home to Hustle. I'm Kelly Campbell, and I'm passionate about sharing stories of incredible stay-at-home moms who are building businesses and creating income from home. Well, hey guys, welcome back to From Home to Hustle. I am your host, Kelly Campbell. Guys, this is the place that if you know that God has called you and inspired you to start stepping into the marketplace, this is your place of encouragement and to be inspired. And my guest, Elizabeth, is no exception. Elizabeth is a Christian wife, mom of two precious boys, and a former Secret Service officer. She is an advocate for children with special needs and their families. She's the founder and president of the Hive and Hope Foundation, whose mission is to improve the quality of life for and bring hope to children with complex special needs and their families affected by critical illnesses, genetic conditions, and epilepsy. Elizabeth, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me on, Kelly.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're here. How old are your kids?
My oldest is 2.5, and my youngest is 10 months old.
Okay, so you have small children. Okay, so I want to talk about that because there's a lot of I've had a lot of guests on this channel where we have homeschooling kids where they're either teenagers or we have like young elementary. And so I think there needs to be something for this particular age group where you're still home, you're still mom, you're still doing all the things, and yet you're the founder and the president of a nonprofit organization. Okay, can you walk us through that?
Sure. Yes, it is pretty crazy. Never in a million years did I think I would ever be a nonprofit executive director or even just a business owner. And so it all was kind of birthed through a 5K that I hosted last May here in Shepherdstown, West Virginia. And the 5K was under another nonprofit, a more established national nonprofit called the Tuberous Sclerosis Complex
Mhm.
Alliance, or the TSC Alliance. And TSC is what my is the rare genetic condition that my son has. So I partnered with them and decided to do a 5K to raise awareness and bring the community together. And during that 5K, a lot of people came up to me personally and asked me if we had our own nonprofit. And
Hmm.
at the time, I was about to give birth to my second son, and it was just not on my radar at all. I said, "Oh no, I have no time. That's not going to happen. I'm about to birth a baby." um, but during that time, I think those conversations really planted a seed
Hmm.
to have more conversations with moms over lunch, over coffee, with other families in the area. And I started to realize how much of a gap there was and how much of a need there was
Yeah.
for children with complex special needs over here. So after a lot of conversations, a lot of prayer, my husband and I felt the peace to start up our nonprofit at the end of last year, early this year.
Wow. Okay. So, all of a sudden people are coming to you and they're like, hey, you should be doing this. You start having these conversations. That reminds me of that story of the man that's on the roof and he's like, God, rescue me, right? And all of a sudden this boat comes and he's like, okay, we're here to help you. And he's like, no, I'm waiting for God to rescue me. And so the boat's gone. And then the airplane comes. Have you heard this story?
I have,
And
yeah.
he ends up drowning. He's like, why did you rescue me? And God's like, I brought you all these things. Like that is something when you were saying that reminds me that sometimes you might be waiting for this neon sign that is like, okay, this is it. Like, this is what you should be doing. When really, sometimes it's just the conversations that you're having with people that just trigger, like, wait, I should be doing something about this.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It was very intimidating starting, to be quite honest with you. And
Yeah.
I actually felt a little crazy just because, like, I have two very small children, one with complex medical needs. My son not only has TSC, but he has epilepsy as well. And unfortunately, we don't have complete control over his seizures right now. So, um, not only are we in therapies multiple times per week, and we have in-home early intervention coming in. We have to go to hospitals a lot of the times. And so when I when I felt the prompting of the Holy Spirit, when I felt God say, "Hey, open this nonprofit," I was so like, I don't know. Like, are you sure you're asking the right person? Because like I have all this stuff going on.
I think we
Um,
all have those inner thoughts.
yes. I was like, are you sure? And but there's just like so much grace that came with it and that is still in it. And so
Mhm.
although it wasn't always the like assured feeling, right? It
Right,
wasn't always like, yes, I'm definitely called
right.
to do this. It's by faith. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of where we are today.
Yeah, I like what you said about being real about you felt intimidated. Can you speak a little bit of that? Like what intimidated you?
Quite honestly, I did not feel qualified at all because
Mm,
I don't have any background in business administration. I don't have a medical background. I just don't have a background in anything where I felt like I could contribute.
mm,
But then the Lord reminded me, He said, "You have your story, you have your testimony with your son, and you are an expert with your child, and you are a mother." And so He qualifies the called. And so
mhm.
that intimidation left after
Yeah.
I had that conversation with God. But initially, before that
Mhm.
conversation, it's just such a big thing to tackle. I mean, you're trying to help a whole community over here that has a lack of resources, a lack of finances, multiple complexities. And
Mhm.
so um, I was like, okay, God, how do I tackle this with you and with the team? And He's just been so faithful.
That's really good. Yeah, I mean, intimidation is like a really big challenge that even I myself have had to face. Being intimidated by other people who are already doing it and doing it really well.
Yes.
Intimidated by um, what people think and say on social media. What do your family thinks, just things like that. And there's always that level of intimidation, but it's kind of like one of like the giants in the land that you have to get over, you have to push through it, you have to like kind of tell intimidation like no, like
Hmm.
you're not going to keep me stagnant anymore. And intimidation is one of like, I would feel like one of the biggest enemies to keep us stagnant and to keep us from moving forward. Like, we can't do anything about intimidation that's going to happen, but we can overcome it, if that makes sense. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, we're gonna feel intimidated. We're gonna feel like we aren't qualified. I like you saying that because that's exactly how you feel. You don't feel qualified to do something of that magnitude. But like by you saying yes, give us some examples of some of the like the great victories that you've seen since starting this.
Wow. Well, I guess like one of the biggest ones was just seeing how many people have rallied together to support our nonprofit. We are
Um,
literally a month old. We're very, very, very new. I would have a family member from one of the families here in the community, and they would text me out of the blue and say, "Hey, we're so excited! Like,
wow,
thank you so much for doing this." And they had no idea that I was questioning it. Um,
that's good.
for for our first event, we had the venue gave us the space free of charge as an in-kind donation, which was huge for us.
Yeah.
We had like pizza that was donated, drinks that were donated. So many people came,
Wow.
and it was just like a reminder that where there is a vision, when God gives you a vision, He will bring the provision as well.
Oh, that's
Um,
good.
it's not something that you need to necessarily strive for. It's just something
Mhm.
that you need to partner with the Lord on.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I like how you said that, that when he gives us a vision, he adds a pro to it. So that's provision. Yes, that is great. Okay, so here you are at the time of this recording. Your nonprofit is it's a baby. It's like a month old, okay? But you've seen so much grace and favor already on it. How are you able to balance that with two small children and special needs on top of that?
Um, I would say it is definitely by the grace of God. I really take it one day at a time. I'm in constant communication with Him um, because I really want to be in partnership with His dream and what He wants for this nonprofit. And so with every person I talk to about the nonprofit and every investor or donor or
Yeah.
just anyone who wants a partner, I am very prayerful when it comes to that.
Hmm.
A lot of the time, realistically, I am burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
So after the therapies and spending time with my sons and my husband after he comes home from work and doing the wife and mom thing, the boys go to bed and I'm down here working on the nonprofit. So it really is a grind, especially in the beginning.
Mhm.
But I heard the Lord say to not despise the small beginnings. And so it won't always be like this forever. So that's the realistic part of it where I'm
Yeah.
not really getting much sleep.
Yeah.
But there's so much grace with it as well, that I draw like joy and strength from it as
So don't despise small beginnings. A lot of us take that as like, oh, my sphere of influence is small. Don't despise that. Oh, I'm making barely anything. Don't despise that. But it's also too like not despising the struggles and starting something, not despising the struggles and the hurdles that you have to face when you're starting a nonprofit, a business, whatever the case may be. And so it seems like that's what you're doing.
well. Yeah, absolutely. And I just think too with managing, or I would say balancing everything, like I have really grown accustomed to managing my time properly. And sometimes I have to schedule things like minute by minute or every like in 30-minute blocks or something like that just to stay on track. And I think I'm kind of used to it because of all the doctor's appointments and therapy appointments and stuff. I'm
Yes.
always in my calendar as it is. Um, but it's just taking like small chunks at a time. And I think a lot of people give up or remain intimidated or stagnant because they chew off so much at one time and then they don't know how to manage it. So I think starting small and even if that means like you have to do 30-minute blocks or one hour blocks, it may seem tedious at the beginning, but until you have a solid grasp on your schedule and what needs to be done, I think that's the way to go
Oh,
for
yeah.
me personally.
That's solid. That's solid that yes, that when you look at it as a whole, you get overwhelmed. Most things don't ever get done. You can burn out really fast, but like you said, if you take it in those increments, whether it's a small project or taking things 30 minutes at a time or an hour at a time, it does make it go way smoother and you're able to accomplish more. I mean, it's really quality over quantity at that point.
Yeah.
It definitely is. So, what practical advice do you have for moms who have little kids and they're literally going, I don't know how, I can't do this. Like, there's no way that I could start something, whatever it is, whether it is a ministry, a nonprofit, a business, whatever it is. What advice do you have for them that have small kids?
I would say to just start.
Hmm.
And you don't need to know what is going to happen in 5 years. You can plan for it, sure. Please plan for it and pray for it.
Yes.
But you're not going to know. And things change
Mhm.
all the time. And if you're always waiting for the perfect opportunity or just the perfect time or when my kids go to school or when they go off to
Yes.
college or something, you're going to end up waiting and waiting and waiting forever. And then it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so I think that's one of the beauties of the unknown with the Lord is that He knows. And as long as you put your trust in Him, he will establish your plans. He's going to establish your steps. And so I would say just start and start small.
Mhm.
And the Lord is going to give you new strategy. He's going to give you new vision. He's going to put a team around you to lift you
Mhm.
up who believe in the same things as you. You're not doing it by yourself. At first, it might seem that way because God gave you that dream,
Mhm.
and um, and it may seem isolating at the time, but God is going to bring the right people at the right time to make your business or your nonprofit to make it fruitful, to make a lasting impact. So I would just say, don't give into fear, don't give into stagnation or confusion because those are all not of the Lord. And the start, the start, and that seed will be planted, and people will come and water it for it to turn into fruit.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, I think just starting, and then watch it get watered for sure. I mean, that is such a great analogy. That's something that I've been noticing too, is like all the like the little endeavors that I've been starting, I've noticed that if I just start it, if I just take that step of obedience, that step of faith, and just do it, the Lord sends people's, like it's like the laborers into the field, right? He sends the workers, he sends the people that are going to help water it, help grow it, and there is a collaboration that happens. And so and you'll get people who are not excited about what you're doing, and then you'll get people who are like, how can I help, or what can I do? Or this is exciting, or, something like that. You'll have both, but just start. Just start. I love that. Yeah, that is actually one of the things that the majority of my guests have actually said, like whenever it comes to that, like, what practical advice do you have? It's just start, just start. And this comes from people who are just starting themselves, and so they haven't seen much income from it yet, versus those who've already made millions, and it's the same advice across the board. Just start. Just start. Don't, everything else will fall into place and you'll figure it out as you go, but you gotta start.
Yes, absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree.
for sure. So where do you see yourself? Where do you see your nonprofit in like 6 months to a year? Or
That
where
is
would you
something,
like to see it?
oh man, I would love to see about 6 months to a year. I really want to make a really big impact here in West Virginia. We are on the border of Loudoun County, which is the richest county in all the nation, by the way. Um, and you cross the border over to where we live in Charlestown, and there's nothing.
Hmm.
And so I really, especially for children with complex special needs, and so I would really love to see my nonprofit grow in the capacity to where we say yes to families and we never say no.
Hmm.
As in, if a family comes up to me and says, "Hey, my son has X, Y, and Z. He needs adaptive equipment. He needs um, some therapies that we just can't afford right now
Yeah.
because it's hard at the job or we don't have insurance." I want to be able to fund that
Hmm.
and say, "Here, we are going to help you, and you don't have to worry about it."
Well, that's
Um, Ideally, I would love to see us expand into Maryland and Virginia and DC since we're right there.
yeah.
But I really want to take care of our community first, and really to see the community come together at our events and just realize, hey, this like these families are going through a similar situation that I am, and we are able to build a bond and to nurture um, like friendships that would be life changing for us and our special needs kids.
Yeah.
So I would just love to see us expand and say yes to families to with whatever they need.
I love that. So, okay, if somebody was interested in helping your nonprofit, getting more information from your nonprofit, where can they find you at?
They can find us on our website at www.hiveandhopefoundation.org.
Okay, and I'll put that description or that link down into the description. So, any last like practical advice that you have for us today?
I want to encourage you by saying you can do this. You are capable. You're so smart. You are beautiful. You are strong, and you are worth it. God called you to this for a reason,
Mhm.
and He could have chosen anybody else, but He chose you. And so, like God will guide you through it. And I just want to speak to the identity that you are a daughter of God, and that is first and foremost above everything, above being a wife, above being a mother. And because of that, you have the inheritance through Jesus Christ. And I just think when you realize your identity and with whose you are,
Yes.
that empowers you to be bold and brave and to step out. So, for those women who are second guessing themselves, who are confused or who just don't know or who just don't know where to start or what to do, just remember who you are first, and everything else will follow after that.
That's solid. That is probably the best practical advice anyone will ever get. That is the foundation of everything. We can be listening to all these women's stories of how they're staying home and building certain businesses, building certain ministries, nonprofits, things like that. But if your foundation is not in your is not rooted in your identity in Christ, none of that's going to happen. You're not going to be able to build what you want to build or what God's placed on your heart unless you know whose you are and who you belong to. You know, it says that God, he owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. In other words, his resources is unlimited. His
Yes.
love is unlimited. And your identity in him is vast. It's big. And so I would say that that would be probably my advice. The first place to start is to check your mindset. You know, do you see yourself as a victor, or do you see yourself as a victim? If
Yeah.
you still feel like a victim in life, you need to allow the Lord to just heal that in your mind, because you're not going to be able to level up if you still feel like you're sub level. I don't know how else to say that. I think I'm around video games so much or in my house. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. But you're not going to be able to reach certain plateaus and platforms, and God's not going to be able to put you in certain places if you don't feel like you're qualified to be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You so much for today. This was great. And we'll definitely be lifting your nonprofit up in prayer and praying that God just knocks down walls and just extend y'all's territory and beyond your borders and beyond, your county lines for sure.
Oh, thank you so much. That means the world. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I hope you guys were blessed today by just getting some practical advice if God's placed on your heart to start a nonprofit or a business or even coaching, whatever this is. Like, you can apply practical advice to whatever God's placed on your heart. So I hope that this was just such another encouraging episode to just get started and get going and get healed, right? And so remember, let your light shine before all men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father who is in heaven. Until next time, be blessed.